Hello, I'm Tim on the TamBoTC channel, and I thought I'd name this one differently because I think the Do I Still Hate uh, not only doesn't apply here, but um, technically I didn't originally hate Cyberpunk. I did think it had a lot of interesting ideas and stuff going for it, but over time it just like botched a lot of things, and there was manipulation that was utilized with it, whether it's the higher up publishers or whomever, or even some of the fan base. Not all of the fan base, some. And I want to say a quick disclaimer: my opinions can be harsh and negative. Take them with a grain of salt. They're my personal opinions, just mine. You make up your mind at the end of the day. Got a lot of people who apparently don't get that, or they're just here to harass and bully for the sake of harass and bullying. And to let you know, if you do that stuff, I'm straight up removing your comments and blocking you from the channel altogether. Even if you make another account to try and harass and stuff, I'm still doing that. If you're trying to do that crap, that's ridiculous. But I want this to be the last time that I talk about Cyberpunk and the last video that I do because, yeah, I would hold it off for far too long otherwise. I'm also just an Elden Ring, like, somebody's probably going to say the same thing during my the Destiny Fallout video I made, where it's like, oh, it talks about Fallout and valid opinion proceeds to play Destiny. Here it's like, oh, talks about Cyberpunk proceeds to play Elden Ring. I think honestly the only person who would do that is Quantum TV or so and so related to Quantum TV. They're the same kind of vein of hate. uh, what a freaking asshole, by the way. And I would hope that someone like that would grow to be a better person, but it doesn't really seem like he would anytime soon. And yeah, he probably needs help anyways. Mostly what I'm doing in Elden Ring, I'm preparing to move on to the DLC to a point because I lost all my save data, sadly. And I kind of want to replay it again anyways, just because, so I might be a bit rusty. I haven't played it in a while. Why is there it's like a giant lightning storm going on over there? I want to fight these guys on the, you saw that guy on the horse over there. I want to get their armor. I have like at least a helmet of it, so if you're wondering why I'm in Elden Ring, that's part of the reasons. Yeah, I just have the helmet. I kind of like their armor set. It reminds me of the one you can get later that you see in all the advertising. But I want to talk about Cyberpunk one last time. Let's start out with something actually I wanted to add new to the stuff I haven't talked about. So I've talked about how the Cyberpunk anime doesn't feel like it reflects the game the way, like, it actually feels like a lot of stuff that's called Cyberpunk that's connected to that same universe doesn't feel at all like the same personality or universe as Cyberpunk, weirdly. And I feel like the anime is like that. Like, I talked about how if you lined up the main characters of the anime next to the characters that play a big part in the Cyberpunk game, like, the anime characters, I know it's an art style, but, like, you can clearly see that if they were brought into the game to have that realistic look, or if the characters were brought from the game into the anime, that the characters from the game would look generic either way compared to them, where they have a lot of color, a lot of variety and such to their designs. And it just didn't match. They even managed to do a similar thing with how they preceded the rest of the art style in the city, and you can still translate that into the real life. It had personality, it felt living, and I think that's because it gave it more purpose, where when you were in between the gameplay elements and not doing a lot of the story stuff, where it's a lot of people mostly standing around expositioning to you. And, like, one of the things is, like, this is The Witcher, this is, like, the guys behind, like, The Witcher and stuff. Of course, they're going to have brilliant actors and stuff. Well, minus Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves at the time didn't have as much experience with voice acting, so it kind of felt like a Peter Dinklage moment, like when he played the Ghost in Destiny, and Keanu Reeves has honestly a lot of bad movies where he's a really terrible actor, but I do really like Keanu Reeves too. He's a really nice guy. He's really cool. Tons of people look up to him. He does have some great franchises under, well, I would say would I say mostly great? I like the Bill and Ted movies, most of them. Um, People love Constantine. Meh. Speed's great. Um, I like the Dracula movie, but not because of him. He's actually awful in that. Um, Johnny Mnemonic, which you can tell is a big influence on Cyberpunk. There's a Matrix, but only people like the first movie, really. The second movie, some people give it leeway, but then the third and fourth, it's like, okay, yeah. Half of the series, if not more, is awful. But I don't know if that's entirely Keanu Reeves' fault. It probably really isn't. Yeah, like, I can't really think of much else. Like, Toy Story 4 is just kind of like a movie that a lot of people, there are people who like it. There's also people that think, like, why does it exist? But yeah, like, minus that stuff, I just felt like his role was kind of ham-fisted in, and he kind of takes over more as the main character. You kind of wish he should have been the main character, but then that would take away the point of, like, character creation stuff, which is already kind of pointless anyways, because it's like your character doesn't have the same motivations as Johnny, but Johnny for pretty much forces you to have the same motivations because he's stuck in your goddamn head as a annoying ass ghost. So you pretty much have to share his same motivations, even if yours don't actually line up. The whole Jackie getting killed, that's your fault. That's still part of your fault. Manly Reviews has went over a lot of stuff, and I like his video on Cyberpunk, and even some of his other videos that have brought Cyberpunk back into the light. He brought up even a point where there's a difference between, like, having just empty vessels and trying to focus more on making your world realistic, but having empty vessels that just look like crowds of people, but you can't actually really interact with them in the same way, like if you walked up to anybody in, like, Zelda, and they might have a quest or something interesting to say to you, where a lot of them are blank slates. And I made the example that characters in frickin' my goodness, I'm just kind of walking around. Helps me to be able to talk about this stuff, but it's probably not fun footage for you. Sorry about that. So I'm finding these skulls everywhere. Some bats coming up. But yeah, it's just, so I'm farming these. It just feels like the story, it's like you should be playing the story this way, where it's like, take for example, I say, like, me as Tam, I want to go on a cool adventure, I want to make my own choices, I want to say, maybe I want to travel to Japan and Egypt and stuff, and learn their, like, about some of the places there and how their culture works and such. Like, say I want to do that. The game, Johnny, is the equivalent of my friend Dave suddenly becoming a ghost. I use this as a joke to him too. He doesn't mind. And being trapped inside my head and then telling me, no, frick you, frick going to see your friends. You're going to see my goddamn friends. You're going to do what I want you to do. Your path is going to line up with me, and I'm taking goddamn over. It doesn't even feel like an RPG. It feels like you're doing RPG mechanics, but towards the secondary character and not for you necessarily. It's kind of dumb. So I just feel like it steals that away. The DLC does help some stuff, What's like, hell, another thing is like if you put Jackie, the images of your character from all the advertising, and then like Idris Elba's character, they're all wearing the same freaking clothing and stuff. That's another thing. Like, why can't people be freaking have enough variety to their freaking designs other than this person's slightly more built and this person's slightly more skinny? And one of the most telling things is the freaking armor sets. Oh, we got freaking bats. Freaking bats. But, like, look at this, some of the armor sets, and there's a lot of them in freaking Cyberpunk, but they have the same problem that, like, the Division has, where it's just a bunch of generic... Oh, I have mine. Where it's just a bunch of generic clothing, like jeans, and freaking... Oh, frick you, horse. Freaking asshole. I'm a bit rusty on this, so... Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, that freaking bat is pissing me off. Let's get rid of this bat first. There we go. What did you give me? Oh. Not even close to the armor. Anyways. Frick that guy. There we go. I was frickin' panic rolling like crazy there. I usually tell my friends not to do that, and I ironically do it myself sometimes. But yeah, with Cyberpunk, like, I checked out the comic book covers, and there's this series called the XOXO, and it's got like the style of like old cartoon, you know, like Mickey Mouse, all that kind of crap on it. It's like psychedelic looking. Almost reminds me of some of the art like used for Aqua Teen Hunger Force and such. And then you look at the other art, it's either generic dude or woman or whatever the frick standing around, maybe holding a gun, like the same complaints we've had about certain covers, the games. I'm not saying that the inside of the comic books are bad at all, but I wouldn't say that like it's the best video game adapted comic series either. There's many out there, from even Bloodborne and Dark Souls is still going. That's crazy to me. And The Witcher. I would prefer CD Projekt Red's other freaking series they've worked on, honestly. And it doesn't match the other stuff. Hell, the freaking covers remind me even more how freaking depressing and just how lackluster Cyberpunk is. You know those freaking gang members that have the multiple, like, the spider eyes? Like, you barely see those guys anymore. And you can't even really join their gang or anything. Like, they don't need a setup like a Bethesda game where they have factions and stuff. But it kind of feels like you would need something more there to at least expand those guys other than finding a chip around that talks about their lore. They're just kind of there once in a while, and it's like, what is the point of these guys? And yet they make one a main character, or at least a bigger part on these covers and such in the comic books, but they can't do something like that for the game? I feel like I would rather the freaking comics even than what we get in the game. And there's all these different lore. There's like the Great War that happened before this. And like where other games, it's like you don't always get to attend a giant war or all of the war, but you still attend a good portion, like Oblivion. You attend the Oblivion Gate, like, war. Only really in, where Cyrodiil is, or whatever the frick. Where it's happening everywhere, and you kind of wish, hey, what if I was at this one helping out? But you're still attending part of that war, and then there's the war in Skyrim and stuff. Even though there's wars going elsewhere, you're still able to attend a war that's important to that area. Like, why can't we be part of or learn a little bit more? That doesn't have to be Chips or somebody just occasionally through exposition dialogue explaining, just like the whole why animals don't exist in the world. Like, I made a video talking about how there's like no life. I mostly meant life in general. The freaking life that is there is just there for the sake of being there, for realism's sake, and to fill in the blanks. But they don't actually have big important things. Almost every character has something to say to you, or something that you're probably going to have more dialogue invested with in stuff like Legend of Zelda and even Bethesda games. So it's just like, well, maybe not every, like Starfield, that same problem does happen for a lot of the characters, but yeah, it's just meant to fill in the blank spaces. When it comes to like Skyrim and such, they actually do, a lot of them have a purpose and are there to say something or so on. It doesn't feel like they did that much into Cyberpunks. Once again, because it feels like it's restricted to just the secondary character feeling more like the main character than you. You just kind of made your own character, and then you have to follow this other character. And it's not even a fun story. It's that generic, oh, Black Knight, yes. I don't have much heals for him, but I'll try to take him on. I wonder if I could... Oh, okay, I wonder if I could make him fall off of this. Fall off of that? Down here. Oh, you forgot about us. Okay, let's find a way back up. Oh, I should get my jellyfish out. Fight him too. Help me fight him. But yeah, like, once again, it feels like you're not really the main character. It feels like this other guy is. And why didn't they make him a real person or whatever? And it kind of doesn't help, because you're trying to make the Arasaka the main villains, you know, big bad company kind of thing, and Johnny here is trying to convince you, mostly through dialogue, that they're evil, as well as flashbacks, but most of the time you're seeing him be evil and a dickhead. And you're trying to fix his life and past mistakes in the future. So it's not entirely for you, other than the goal of your chip is going to eventually kill me. Which also has flaws to it, because it was kept in your freaking hot ass head, or Jackie's hot ass head, when it was supposed to be kept under a certain cool temperature. It's just, there's so many freaking plot holes and dumbass things. And every series has that, but like, I can't get past some of the ones in this series. They get way too dumb. And I think what makes it hurt is because of what we've been established with CD Projekt Red in the past, because they have such brilliant writing and characters, thanks to The Witcher. And it's like, suddenly we get this, and it feels like it's disguised to look like it has. You can still have really great acting and actually, is that it? You can still have great visuals and acting and stuff, though I wouldn't say the visuals were quite that great when it was really glitchy and stuff, and on the previous consoles rather than the next gen. But it's just freaking ridiculous. Like, I wanted this game to succeed, and I would like to focus on things that aren't the boring ass corpo is evil. And like, the corporation doesn't even chase you or show why they're evil to you. Matter of fact, important figure characters from the corporation freaking help you out to freaking take down Arasaka or whatever. And it just further makes you think, oh, maybe they're not that evil until like the very last freaking minute. There's just so many things conflicting the story, and then I would even say the pacing is hurting it. Even some of the characters sadly suffer. There's some side characters you can romance that have decent decent stories and backgrounds, but a lot of them, once again, connect back to Johnny in some way, shape, or form. And I know I should look at that as a unique thing, but it honestly, because of the previously established and said things, it doesn't to me. It's just freaking ridiculous. Yeah, it just hurts because this is what this company has established itself. But yeah, like it's hard for me to like Cyberpunk personally, or to get back into it. I've tried to replay it again, and I just find myself getting bored. Once again, I want to get back to the armor thing. Why the armor's so boring, other than having like jeans, your tank top, all that kind of crap. And while I have fixed things, I don't care about cars. The cars are freaking boring, and they feel like they're just made to look ridiculous for the sake of looking ridiculous, or whatever the hell Manly Reviews said. Because it doesn't even feel like it's in the spirit properly as the Cyberpunk tabletop, even. It feels like something else. Like, there's still no flying cars unless you mod it, and that's only restricted really to PC right now. And it doesn't feel like it goes all the way with its creativity. They need to go freaking all out. Like, you look at the freaking Dwemer ruins and stuff, or like Markarth in Skyrim, and some of the scenery there. It feels so fantastical. It's kind of like the up is not jump explanation he had between The Witcher looking realistic compared to the artistic way that Skyrim's trying to look. It's like they went all out with that. But and you could use that as an example for other stuff, but I feel like Cyberpunk doesn't, other than Night City, and that's really only the look rather than the feeling or the vibe, or the personality or anything. Oh, he's in his place. I do need to kill you. But take, for example, the samurai armor. So there's only a helmet and a mask of the samurai armor, and if you look at the samurai armor, or like the only other things called samurai is the freaking jacket that you see everywhere. It's really freaking boring, and it's like, why didn't they go all out with that too? It's another explanation of why I don't think they do enough with the oh my gosh, at least there's a thing of America there, so I don't really care about dying here. Oh. Let's get off of my horse. He's really mad. Nope, you're not killing me. Frick you, give me your clothing, damn it. You look at that armor set, it's really freaking generic. And then you take, for example, games that have samurai armor. Ghost of Tsushima. I know those are different settings, but when you're a game that advertises samurai, you have the freaking famous quote, "Wake the frick up, samurai." I know frick isn't the word. And you have literally a cola called Samurai Cola. And then you have that helmet that would make Darth Vader cry. That the only thing you can do with is different colors. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing what's coming over the bridge right now. And the mask, and all you can do is different colors with that, and it's not even enough colors either. It's like, where's the head decorations or cool ass freaking samurai armor? Like, you look at stuff like Wulong, the Fallen Dynasty, and the armor sets in that, or even in freaking Souls games that have samurai armor. Hell, this game has samurai armor. look at all the other games that have samurai armor. Neo 2, Ghost of Tsushima, frick even Fortnite somehow. For freaking samurai skins. When Fortnite does that stuff better than you and you don't have the decorations, instead you have a helmet that looks like the freaking tip of your penis. If you have one. Uh, it's just like, what the frick is these freaking sets? I think the DLC or the expansion to Cyberpunk does add more, but what the frick were you thinking? These sets are so freaking boring, and it's another thing that just adds to why that I don't feel like not only this game doesn't go all out with its stuff, but also just making me bored not to care about collecting stuff. There's only so few things I care about. Like, I just don't care otherwise. And then the only other interesting looking gear is the stuff they added from the anime into the game. Or the Witcher jacket and sword or whatever. It's like, when that's the only stuff, and there are samurai swords, but god, they're the most generic samurai swords. But god damn, what the frick? Go all out with Cyberpunk theme. It just feels so tame, and therefore ironically rhyming with the word lame. It's like, what the frick? Go all out with it, and I do not feel like Cyberpunk went all out. Even the dialogue system has a lot of the same problems. Hell, I would even say doing stuff stealth kind of hurts it. Mostly, one, so the game's main character, his whole point is he or she or whatever, they, them, wants to be a legend, okay? How are people going to know about you if you stealth all the missions? Nobody's going to know you even did it. The point of that is that you don't want people knowing you did that. It's cool that it's there, but then it hurts a freaking plot point or a character development thing. So it ironically comes back to bite you in the ass. It's like, what the frick? Every time there's something good, like something else comes around, bites you in the freaking ass. And what the frick is the motive of I want to be a legend? It's so freaking selfish and boring. So even if you do go for the freaking motive, it freaking sucks. It's freaking boring as hell. I'm gonna catch a ride with these guys. Do they have guys behind them? No, it doesn't look like it. Do you mind if I catch a ride with you guys? I'm just gonna, catch a ride. I don't have any more potions. Oh wait, I do. What the hell? Must have refreshed it. But yeah, I just found it freaking ridiculous. Don't mind the dead guys. And it has that same problem I was talking about with Mass Effect Andromeda. Andromeda has awesome gameplay. I do think it is really good gameplay. But you need the gameplay to be also complemented by both the world and enemies in it. And because I don't feel like the enemies are interesting to fight or have enough variety to them, or like you take the Halo enemies and their functionality, for example, they all have their own unique functions. I don't feel like that works the same in Cyberpunk as well. And it feels like I'm fighting a lot of the same generic dudes, maybe in a suit, or maybe it's an actual, like, just generic thug, or one of those spider eye guys, but it doesn't feel like they really stand out any different. The only other ones that stand out is either boss battles, which are freaking lame, and the freaking bigger guys, the heavies, which you see in every game anyways. I don't know, they don't stand out to me. And the level designs, it feels like somehow the level design is even more generic. There's a lot of just like the same looking buildings and stuff, but with a different layout. Level design is just kind of boring. Like, if there's any decent level design, it's just the world itself, but when you're actually inside of a building or something, it's like, this looks like everything else. I don't know. I've always found Cyberpunk boring. If you find something interesting or cool about Cyberpunk, that's great. I love that you found that. I love that you had something that meant of importance to me. To you. Sorry. And that's freaking great for you. I love that for you. I love that you found something that you love. Don't let me freaking like step all over it, whatever. This is just my personal opinion. I made that clear in the beginning. I said a freaking disclaimer that I'm probably going to be negative. What else do I have to say to convince you otherwise? It's just like, you can't. The only other way somebody's going to be mean now is just for the sake of being mean and rude and nasty. There is no other reason. They just wanted to be a jerk. Because I don't want to be a jerk to anybody. I don't want to be rude to anybody. I even feel bad when I think I've accidentally done something rude. And I almost want to, like, apologize, but I'm not certain if I've done something rude because I'll go over it with my friend and be like, I don't think I see anything rude about that. Because I always make sure to do that. And, yeah, I don't want to come across that way, but whenever I do deeply apologize for that stuff. I don't want to come across that way. Sometimes you can't be like the heat of the moment. You don't always think about it, and you kind of do. And maybe that's another thing that contributes to some of the people that have said the rude things. Yet some of the rude things do go a little overboard than when I say things that are potentially rude. Because I'm not trying to freaking name call them and stuff. Or I've had that stuff, or people trying to like use slurs or whatever. So yeah, that stuff's definitely ridiculous. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I want to say. They stopped, and I'm like bouncing for some reason. Can I open this now? Yay! Hop and joy. So they do stop places. Cool. Ooh, great axe. I think I might stick with different. I'll see about that weapon though, but yeah. Yeah, they stopped. Thanks for the ride, thanks for the lift. Did they stop by the Grace? Hold on. Oh my gosh, I think they did. They brought me exactly where I need to be. Yay! So I can reset the area. Oh, hello there. No, he's made my jellyfish friend into a shield. No. But yeah, I'm done with talking about Cyberpunk. Um, I've watched the anime. I even own most of the comic books. There's just nothing convincing me otherwise to care for it personally. It's I think there's potential for a great sequel. I've even talked about wouldn't it be cool if they made a JRPG-ified version of the style the Cyberpunk anime went for, but with maybe different main characters or whatever. I think that would be kind of cool. But yeah, like I think what hurts me here is I want to love it and I want to get into it, but I just don't see what all the praise is about because it just feels like it doesn't go all the way with stuff. And it's just very generic. Like the samurai armor alone pisses me off because it's like all they have is the helmet and the mask and they don't even put cool decorations on it. But all the advertising is using the word samurai. Even on a freaking cola. Which I never got to try that samurai cola because it was never freaking in my area. So I'd have to get it online or on Amazon or something. Which I think is still there, but I don't know if it's drinkable if it hasn't expired already. But yeah, but no, I love the freaking Witcher series. I have all the books. I plan on reading them for the channel sometime. I have all the games, yes, including the original Witcher and Witcher 2. Though I find those games hard to play mostly because of the controls, but I'm invested in the story and characters there. But that's just a personal thing, I guess. And I guess you could argue a limitation of the time. Maybe they were trying to do different things with the controls to stand out, and it wasn't quite working there, so they tried different things with the later games, and I think Witcher 3 is where they really had solid gameplay that worked the best. And I have all the Witcher comic books, too. I actually got my recent issue of Witcher Corvo Bianco, or how do you pronounce that? which is going to be a 5-part comic series, and I hope to read that for the channel. So that'll be cool. I love this cover. It's very anime, that I got, at least. And then, of course, Dark Souls. Bloodborne's comics just ended a while ago, probably like a month ago, and I got the last Dark Souls comic of the recent one, Dark Souls The Willow King. So look forward to that stuff. And I have the complete collection of the Dark Souls comics, and I have the first 3 volumes of Bloodborne, but I need 2 others. But I do have the last series of Bloodborne, so I do have that. There's also Sonic comic books, Street Fighter comic books, Mega Man. Um, I have the entire collection of the Splinter Cell Echoes. I have the entire Mass Effect comics collection. It's a big, thick book. So, yeah, I would love to read those for the channel at some point. That would be great. There's so much to read. I'm never going to run out of stuff to read. Yeah, I like Cyberpunk's the only one I just can't get into. I don't care for. I feel like just like what Manly Review said, and I hate to borrow stuff he says, but I feel like it doesn't represent the tabletop very well. And yeah, it doesn't even feel like the same universe. Like you look at those XOXO covers where it's like psychedelic and it's got like the equivalent of like trying to be like, I guess, Jessica Rabbit if she was actually a rabbit and all that crap, and it's like the freaking typical wolf that Jim Carrey's mask changes into and such that you see in those older cartoons, but put on the psychedelic, very colorful covers, and I feel like those covers don't even reflect the vibe or the same personality as the world of Cyberpunk, where I feel like the bland covers ironically do, where it's just dudes standing around and they either use mostly red or mostly yellow freaking color for the cover. There are other covers that have different colors and different things going on, but they're mostly just typical stuff. You have one where it's just either people standing around, or maybe they're in a car driving, or they're sitting at a counter collecting something or whatever that's being given to them, or they're making a deal or whatever. And it just kind of feels boring. Um, but at least it's reflective of what I think of the game, because this freaking doesn't go all out. It feels kind of boring. That's not to say the art isn't good on the inside. Once again, don't judge a book by its cover. But yeah, I just feel like when it comes to this, I feel like the cover of those games does reflect what we get in the game, at least from my personal viewpoint. So, yeah. And there was a lot of just crazy things to go into even further, but I think I'm done. I want to be done with this stuff. This is my equivalent of, do I still hate Cyberpunk, but it's not going to be called that, because I didn't originally hate this game. I do hate what it stood for, the fact that it doesn't go all out, and that this is coming from a company known for something like The Witcher, and it feels the way it does. And yeah, it just hurts. So yeah, like, I don't know what else to say or what else to add. But hopefully we get something cooler in the future, and that we see more things, probably more like their expansion to Cyberpunk, but in a full game, because an expansion, once again, shouldn't be what makes a game. Like, the Shivering Isles doesn't make Oblivion a good game in a lot of people's eyes. You still have to come back to the main game, and there's still reasons you want to play that main game. But for me, it's like I go from the expansion, and it's great, but then I come back to the actual game and stuff, and I'm like, God, this is underwhelming in comparison to such a large extent, especially after everything I've felt and said previously to this. So, once again, just me personally. And take it with a grain of salt, of course, like I've said. Do you even, I don't know, does that saying even work? Let me know. But yeah, like, be respectful of your comments. Actually, I was saying it in my Fallout thing. I would like it if somebody actually disagreed with me in my comments, but did it in a way where they weren't harassing or throwing slurs or using like just name calling or crap like that. Like if it was a structured, really well thought out opinion that didn't do that crap. Because I feel like people who do that crap just do it for the sake of like they're they want to be assholes. Like the last guy that did that tried to defend why he deserved to be an asshole to me, and all I said to him is, dude, this is just my opinion. There's a million ways you could have said that without being rude, please." And then they had a paragraph long thing of why they deserve to be rude, and it's like, what? What kind of person argues that? That shouldn't even be a thing unless the person was rude to you. Then they do deserve it, but I was not. So therefore it does not deserve that. So that's freaking ridiculous. But yeah, like, but I don't even need to say that. That guy like made like 3 or so comments towards me, and I did do 3 comments myself. But my third comment was actually me just saying, you know what, I can see what's going on here. You just want to pick a fight. I'm not dealing with this. Even my friend can see what you're trying to do. I'm sadly going to have to delete your comments because of how rude you're being. That was all my third comment was. Because we both started realizing what this guy was trying to pull, and it's freaking ridiculous. So I was just eventually like, just ignore these comments and delete and block them if they do this kind of crap again, or if somebody else pulls the same crap. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. That kind of stuff shouldn't be your argument when it's a situation where the other person was not rude to you, and it's just overboard, and it shouldn't even be a thing that comes to your mind in the first place. And then people saying stuff like, "Who the frick are you to say? Who cares about you?" That's not only disgusting, but first off, to quote Sonic from the fan dub, "Speak for yourself." Not to be rude, but like, wouldn't that same thing ironically and hypocritically apply to you? Like, I had to, because that person was being nasty towards me, I had to go to his actual channel to block them because that's the only way. And ironically, they only had 16 subscribers to my 150. Not to brag, and I don't want to ever brag, but it just feels hypocritical when people do that crap. Like, think before you speak sometimes, especially if you're going to use it to be rude. Because I don't make fun of the other people who are nice, and whatever amount of subscribers they have, I don't care. But like, it feels like if you're going to do that kind of crap, and I see obviously you're being hypocritical through that, then I'm going to point it out. Because it's hypocritical, and you're actually creating a situation that is vastly negative in a more harassing, bullying way, rather than I'm just negative because I don't like said game, and this is why. But I still gave a disclaimer and such at the beginning and such of that, so you can walk away from it altogether or not have anything to do with it. It brings up another interesting thing that was brought up between me and my friend, that with how people kept attacking me over the Fallout thing and were so defensive over it, even though it's just my opinion and I still had disclaimers and stuff that I did for the later videos at least, that it feels like the reason people are being defensive is because they're worried that more people will take my opinion as fact, and I don't necessarily want that. I want people to take my opinion with a grain of salt. I want people to decide for themselves. I shouldn't have to tell you, you be an adult. You're an adult on the internet. Well, unless you are kids, then I can't say that. But if you're an adult and you know you're an adult in real life, you shouldn't have to have me say that to you. So that's just ridiculous that I have to when it does happen. It's like, I shouldn't have to. You make up your own freaking mind, please. It is you that has a choice, ironically, at the end of the day. And I say ironically because I feel like the choices in Cyberpunk are practically non-existent or just hollow. um, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Those are the only things I have to contribute there. Once again, know that if you're going to be nasty like those previous comments I've talked about, like the one that defended why they deserve to be rude, even though I was not rude back, or they're using it as a chance to bully, harass, name call, whatever, as long as along those lines, I'm removing you. I'm removing your comments. I might even block your channel altogether from commenting. It's freaking ridiculous. Like, those people had the 1-2 strikes, and I haven't even gotten rid of all the comments that I thought were smug or rude, because they were at least not doing it in a ridiculous way and not making really long paragraph long things on that stuff. So, of doing that stuff and such. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope you found something interesting and something to enjoy. Even though I mostly stood here, or fought something once in a while, or ran around or whatever, collecting stuff. But yeah, I guess it works more as like, you could think of these videos kind of like Mike and Zach's Burnfire videos, where they just kind of sit around a campfire and all it is their commentary. Hopefully you found something interesting from my commentary, and I mean, I guess that kind of works as a campfire. That's a gray site. But yeah, however way you take it. I'm sorry if it is boring to you. I hope at least the stuff I had to say was something interesting, and that once again, you don't necessarily need to watch it if it's something like that. What I said with a disclaimer, you don't want to watch because maybe it'll, I don't know, I wouldn't say offend, but I would say maybe you don't want to hear it for reasons. I don't know what the reasons would be, honestly. Just that you wouldn't want to hear it. I don't know. But you have an awesome day nonetheless. If you did enjoy this or find something of interest, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you did, and leave your comments below. Don't feel like you can't comment. I've had people who are scared to comment, I guess, I think. Or maybe they're too shy. I've even had people on PlayStation, I guess, are too shy to approach me, but don't feel like you can't. I don't always respond. Like, most of my responses would probably be a heart or a like towards yours if I don't have something more to add, so I'm sorry if I don't. But yeah, like, I do make sure to at least look at most of the comments, unless they're nasty and I realize they're nasty. Though I still have to make sure that they are actually being nasty first. So yeah, keep that in mind. Oh, jeez, my frickin' throat. Anyways, I will see you next time, and you have a awesome day.